Okay, I'll call the
David's not here.
Board of Health meeting.
He just went down to get something.
Okay, good. Wait a minute. I didn't see him sneak out.
Yeah, he's trying to get back from the page.
Did you minutes print out with 3 pages or only 2?
3, like 2.5.
Right, he got that, he got the second page,
Yes.
the 96, the 49 to 96, yeah.
His printed right, the rest of them didn't.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Right.
You got another page there?
No, I'm missing that page too.
That's what,
Yeah.
that's what David's.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm actually good. I think.
No, he's not.
I'm the
He
only
has
one
the
that has it right, apparently.
What's wrong with those people?
Yeah, I read this online. I didn't realize that I didn't have it.
Yeah.
I read it online. I didn't realize it wasn't.
Well,
Okay,
no, you wouldn't have until just now.
just now.
Right.
Okay, call the meeting to order. Roll call,
Being present.
Catalano present.
Hoffman present. Okay, according to our agenda. It's here. General business update, approve any minutes. I do have a correction. To the 14th minutes, if I can find it. This has to do with Mr. Lane's comment on page 3.
Just take out in line 97, you could remove the period and just say, "and the."
Well, the board doesn't, and,
Well, that indicates his comments.
No, that's just semantics.
okay. And,
Did you have something too, Richard?
No,
Okay.
no, I'm good.
okay, so a motion, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes with a minor addition?
So,
What did you change?
Just an and.
Just on line 97.
Oh, you removed the period and wrote the word and.
Yes.
put in "and."
Yeah.
Seems-
All right, I make the motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, take a vote, all in favor?
Lane, aye.
Hoffman, aye.
Catalano, aye.
Okay, we got that. Health agent report.
Both the sets of minutes have been approved then, the February 15th and the March 14th, the amendments you want to make.
What were the February 15th?
It's not-
Alan, you had some comments.
Alan, that was the one I pointed out to you with the yellow highlight. With, you wanted that changed, remember?
Yeah. Not sure.
It should be in your book.
With the yellow, I do see it. It's behind the first set of minutes we had.
It was with the minutes, it was under number 1.
So it'll be the last page in that section. Keep going. One more. There's one more page, there you go.
Yeah, I think it should be will comply at that date instead of have complied. It's in the very last line on the first page. I don't believe as of that date, all had complied.
Okay.
So I think that's,
I have no objection to that.
yeah.
I agree with that.
Okay, we're moving on. Okay. We're down to the health agent report. There you go.
So, at the last meeting, we had discussed the posting of the animal inspector's position. Working with Bill Cadwell, town administrator, the position has been posted, and a deadline will be for tomorrow, the 12th. That has been posted for 2 consecutive weeks. We have 1 applicant. I don't know how many more we'll have by closing business tomorrow. My recommendation would be that the Board of Health is the appointing authority for that position, that the Board of Health review the applicants and make a decision on how they want to go forward with the appointment.
So we're without an animal inspector now, right, as we speak?
I have been covering those duties.
How much time is that taking of you?
Well, we've had a couple of quarantines due to dog bites specifically, so it's not overwhelming, but it certainly is something that the animal control officer and animal inspector work closely together.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of overlap.
So does it make sense that maybe we hold a meeting sometime next week? It doesn't have to be at night. I mean, to make an appointment, if we only got 1.
I would say we'll wait till tomorrow to see how many we get, and then, we could either have a meeting next week or the following week, or, if you wanted to wait until the next board meeting.
Yeah, I don't see any sense in waiting. I mean, if we have 1.
I don't think we're gonna get, I honestly don't think.
The action is obvious. Okay.
Any other thoughts from the board?
I would say we just wait till the next meeting.
We can probably wait because they're not in the cycle of doing all the inspections, the farm inspections and everything. So, it's just a matter of handling like the dog bites and quarantines and other things like that. So that can be waited.
So, given that information, what I'll do is, depending on what we get for applicants, I'll just schedule those into the next meeting for interview.
Okay. All right.
I did forward you just recently the update on the odor complaint. There seemed to be a little bit of a delay, but they are working on that. They expect to have that. I'll check in with them again next week. I haven't had any further complaints. I haven't had any odor issues myself in driving through the neighborhood. Rich, have you?
No, I haven't heard any.
Okay.
I haven't been down there either, so.
Following, pursuant to general law, typically or annually, we get notification from the utility companies, whether it's the power company underneath the power lines or the rails, specific to herbicide or pesticide management. A yearly operational plan. So far, we've just recently received from CSX, Pan Am Railways, their plan for this year. It's very traditional and consistent with the past years. We've had a Title V inspection that has failed, 31 Princeton Road. Typically what we do with those, when we receive them, you get an update and a notification gets sent out to the homeowners indicating that they have 2 years to comply, and we cite the code citation associated with that. It's not an imminent public health threat, so I don't think any further action needs to be taken on it, but it does have to be put on notice.
What was the failure?
Groundwater, it was in the groundwater.
I received a letter about that because I'm a neighbor, that I should come to this meeting, so when you're talking about that property.
What's the address? What's
I'm at 33 Hudson.
Okay, that's coming up next.
Okay.
That's not what we're referring to, this
Okay.
address. But thank you.
Yeah.
Massachusetts Public Health Network has received a grant. They're implementing that process right now. As far as the grant was for digitalizing Board of Health records. Sterling, as well as Fitchburg specifically, has had some of their records digitalized on their own outside of the grant. But we'd like to take advantage of, since we've got a grant, any further records that we can get digitalized so that we can put them all with a street address or whatever they're associated with. That's basically how our records are stored, street address. The annual town meeting is May 6th. I just want to be certain that the board is fully clear on what our budget, FY25 budget for Board of Health and Animal Inspector is, responsibilities are, and the budget allowances associated with that. I don't want to get to town meeting and have questions that aren't able to be answered.
There's information under number 2 in your book if you want it.
I'd just like to take the time to go over that if need be.
Just in case, do we have a breakout of the expenses? Like, what the inspector expenses are, dues and meetings, what dues we're paying? Do we have a breakout on that in case we are asked?
We could get that, yes.
I would be prepared.
It's listed here as, the dollar figure, but exact dollar figure, what was spent in that particular calendar year, meaning fiscal year '24, I will get that.
I think it's just a good idea to have, just.
So what you're looking for, Rich, is the breakout on this page of some of these items, right?
Well, the top items, they're pretty self-explanatory. The Board of Health stipend is what it is. We know what the inspector salary is, we know where the wages are, those are actually broken out down here. But what is not broken out
That's what,
into more detail is the Board of Health expenses, which is here.
So,
So, like, if someone says, okay, how many water quality tests do you do and what do they cost? You know? Because I gotta hold this like 5 feet away, $1,050 there, I don't know if we need to really break out supplies as much, but they are what they are, but,
so
what expenses does the inspector have? That might be a question that someone might ask, and what dues are we paying?
that's easy.
Yeah, that's all.
So I will get,
I'd just rather be prepared than not have an answer to a question.
So to be specific, you're asking for some breakouts on this page that we're looking at, down under Board of Health expense.
Yes,
And that's what your whole question.
that's what I'm suggesting we have.
But that's your whole question.
Not a question, I'm not asking.
Well, you're suggesting that that's the limit of what we're looking at relative to this page.
Well, I'm comfortable explaining just about everything else on the page.
Okay,
That's,
all right. All right. So that's not a great deal.
so what I'll do is I'll pick, fiscal year '24 because we're currently in that, or '23. And, our expense line item is $7,530. And it is broken out, clinics and water quality tests, $1,050, supplies, $1,700, inspector's expense, $2,600, dues and meetings, $500, e-permitting and internet work access, $1,200, and the program, the 4 radios, $450.
Yeah, which we voted for.
That's correct. Some of them
I'm not questioning any of it.
No, I understand, but I think it's important to have, in case we're asked, explain what the inspector's expense goes to and the dollars associated with that $2,600. The supplies, I think, we can break that down as well to whatever paper and pens and erasers that we get.
Where's the copier in this? I mean, we're paying for our own copy.
That's over on the
Rich, I will get that and I will email that out.
I just think we need to be, I don't need it. I just, again, and if the other members don't think we need to break it out that much, I'm just thinking, I try to be prepared for the worst, that's all.
It's fine. All right.
But again, I just wanted to make
You
sure
saw
that
the copy is here, right?
Yeah, I see.
I just wanted to make sure that the board has a good understanding of what our budget is, so that at town meeting, we're able to answer those questions.
Right. And that's why, when you said that, those are the only questions I couldn't answer.
Perfect.
Okay, okay, is that, are you done?
I am.
Okay, well, we're.
As far as the budget, Alan, or as far as my updates?
As far as your updates.
I'm gonna add one more thing. Recently, we were out on a housing inspection, and some infractions, some violations, sent the owner of the property a certified letter, and given them the time frame to fix it. We'll do a follow-up inspection, within that time frame. So I just.
Is that a rental property?
It is a rental property.
Yeah, okay. All right.
And now I'm done.
Okay. All right, now we're a couple minutes late here, but not much. We have a variance request at 35 Pikes Hill Road. Something new?
Is anybody in the butter there? You can come up front and watch if you want. I'm gonna put the plan out. I'd like to stand because I'm behind the desk.
Where do you want me to
It's
come?
rainy weather.
You'll have the plan, and you can see the plan.
I'm
Right.
gonna put it out for you now. I'll turn it around so we can see that. We have a very challenging lot here.
You have to identify yourself.
I'm Sharon Dolan, I'm at 33 Pikes Hill Road. And I just had two issues I wanted to.
Yeah, you might actually answer the questions before you even ask them. But
Okay, so there's an existing three-bedroom house here. This is very challenging because Ball Brook runs right through their property. And this is the easement that was made originally, but I don't know where this came from, this big dish out of the whole lot here. I don't know if I was showing the original subdivision, but it didn't leave us much room. So basically, we're doing maximum feasible compliance here. There's a well right here.
That's what
We're just 100 feet away from that.
that's me.
I know. That was a tough one, because I'm trying to stay away from the brook. We have a high water mark here, and we have a wetlands. So this is a little confusing, but I can ask for a local upgrade approval for a distance to the wetlands. But I'm not allowed to be within 100 feet of the brook, which is the high water here. And let me get all the numbers for you here. There's actually a part of the local upgrade that doesn't include anything less than 100 feet from the high water mark, so I have to go to the state for a variance on that, which I haven't done in a long, long time. There's a letter in here somewhere. There we go. I'll read them off for you. Variances where we're requesting 310 CMR, 15 to 11 minimum setback distances from a drinking water tributary. Septic tank, 200 feet is required, 63 feet is proposed. Pump chamber, 200 feet is required, 72 feet is proposed. Soil absorption system, 200 feet required, 67 feet is proposed. And we have one variance from the Sterling Board of Health Regulations. Oh, actually two. Reduction in the offset between a wetland and a water body, 100 feet is required, 61 and 67 feet are proposed. Reduction in the minimum area for a field, 1,000 square feet is required, 864 square feet are proposed. And I wrote a nice little sentence here. Due to the severe physical constraints of the lot, we would propose a replacement septic system utilizing maximum feasible compliance. And we have proposed using a Presby Enviro system, which is a little more efficient than a pipe and stone system, although Alan may not like that.
Make no comment.
I've seen a lot of Presbys.
You see a lot of Presbys.
Yeah, this guy has a lot of landscaping here too. His existing system is here, and he had 2 leaching pits. And I guarantee the bottom of those are in the water table. you know, in the spring, one of them was completely filled up.
Mm.
I didn't do the Title V, Dan Mercurio did.
So what were your questions?
I was concerned about my well, number one, and number two, I know the original owners of my property sold land to that property so
Yes.
that they would have enough land to build, and I just wanted to make sure that that was taken into consideration.
I have it right here. Actually, they gave me a little wacky lot line that came out because they didn't have enough room for the house.
Yeah, so I wanted to make sure you were aware of that, and so that was in those.
It's all
pictures.
recorded in the
Okay.
deeds.
Okay.
So he is 100 feet away from your
Yeah,
well,
so the
just to
minimum,
let you know, yeah, but,
the distance that, the legal distance with respect to you has not been varied.
Okay,
right.
okay. Yeah.
People aren't very happy if I try to put them closer to their well on a
Yeah.
budding property
Yeah.
now. I don't blame them, but.
But I mean, this is the state code distance right there.
Right,
Yep.
so that's been met,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, sound good.
You okay?
Yeah.
My number's on that letter I
Yes.
sent you. I got a couple calls.
I think I called you.
Oh, was you?
Yeah,
Yeah, I talked to
But I
you.
just figured I would come, anyways, just to.
Okay.
be able to say.
I'm glad I could explain it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments on this?
I'm gonna have to go to DCR too. And the Conservation Commission.
Okay, so we'll close the hearing and take a
Any
vote.
comments?
No, I mean, I've reviewed the plan. What's nice about this submittal is, even the Presby had asked for groundwater offset. He's done a very good job of holding the 4-foot offset to groundwater here. I think that's very, very important. Very tight lot, trying to maintain a 100-foot offset between the neighbor's well and the existing lot's well. The challenge was, you know, he had to get within the 60 feet of the wetland, so he's got some long trenches here, a long system here, but I don't see any issues with this. I think he did the best job he could here.
Is there a motion on this?
So the variances, like you said, about the offset to the brook and
Yes.
wetlands.
Well, the wetlands we can do as a local upgrade, but the
Okay,
distance to the high water mark, that's a different story.
that's the state,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, okay.
So do we have a motion to approve as far as the Board of Health is concerned?
I make a motion to approve the requested variance and local upgrade.
I'll second that. Any further discussion from anybody? Okay, so we'll move to the vote. All in favor?
Lane, aye.
Hoffman, aye.
Catalano, aye.
Okay, so we've got that one.
So since the board granted the variances locally here, when Chris gets approval from the state, DCR, because it's a tributary, we will issue a permit at that time.
Correct, correct.
Once everything's recorded, so Kathy can release it. Thank you, guys.
Okay, take care.
Does a good job, does it tight. I
Okay.
looked at that, that was a pretty small lot.
Yeah, Presby wants you to use longer lines. They say the longer the better. You know, a lot of times I have to go down to their minimum, which is 30. I have one in town here that's 30 feet, 10 of them in a row. Works.
Well, good system. Okay, so we're going there. DCR comments on Sterling regulations. Okay, let's go with that. All right, so I'll give you the history of this one. What happened is that the DCR has, I don't get its title wrong, what, a regional engineer? Okay,
I'm sorry, what was it now?
we can finish. DCR has a liaison, an engineer who's a liaison with the Board of Health.
Yes.
Okay. And so, I've never met the gentleman, but he made it be known that DCR was in support of our regulations. And let it be known to David. I'm not sure exactly when that happened. It may have happened shortly before the last meeting. I was a little uncomfortable about bringing that forth because it's a single person. I mean, it's somebody who's an employee. So I thought about it for a while, and the conversation that David had said that this gentleman would be willing to write a letter to us. He indicated that he was in favor, or he didn't indicate who he was speaking for, but they were favorable towards our new regulation. So I let that sit for a while because I didn't want to bring that in as a single individual. And so then decided, well, you know, who's really making the request? So I decided to write to the regional director of DCR, and whom I have never met, and said, you know, are you interested in commenting? We understand you might be interested in commenting. Is that letter in here?
It is, it's like under number 5.
Number 5.
Yeah.
So there's, well, my number 5 doesn't.
Oh, it's right there. That's it.
Okay. That's the response. That's the response. So I wrote to Ms. Fredna and said, you know, we've heard this. We would invite you to comment if you would want to. And then, as a result, we got a letter from her. Now, she's the regional director, so this is far up. This is pretty far up in DCR. There's different regions of the state. We're in the Wachusett-Assabet region. And her letter is here. And her comments are, and I don't know whether this has been circulated, so I think I'll read it. And we can attach it to the minutes. Dear Mr. Hoffman, thank you for giving the Department of Conservation and Recreation, Division of Water Supply Protection, the opportunity to provide comments on the Sterling Board of Health's BOH surface disposal system regulations. The Division of Water Supply Protection manages and protects the Quabbin Reservoir, Ware River Watershed Reservoir, and Sudbury Reservoir watersheds, which are the source of drinking water supply for over 3 million people. DCR recognizes that Massachusetts Title V regulations, 310 CMR 15, and local Board of BOH regulations are important for the protection of water quality and public health, since they govern the construction and maintenance of septic systems in the watersheds. Moreover, many cities and towns have adopted local regulations to be more protective of water quality. I think we've been down that road in this room. Massachusetts Title V Regulation 310 CMR 153023, number 4, specifies deep observation test is not required to determine high groundwater elevation during an inspection. High groundwater elevation shall be estimated by the inspector using the best professional judgment. Sterling BOH's update to their subsurface disposal system regulation, section 5, quote, systems inspections at the time of transfer, unquote, includes the requirement that, quote, estimated seasonal high groundwater must be determined through a soil observation, parenthesis, deep observation hole, by a Mass DEP approved soil evaluator and witnessed by a member of the Sterling Board of Health and or their agent. Across Massachusetts and much of New England, there's been a positive trend in both precipitation and groundwater levels. Recent studies conducted by UMass Amherst Hydrology found that 38% of the mainland in Massachusetts is currently at risk of groundwater rise impacts, and that the risk area may grow in the future. Between 1970 and 2010, long-term groundwater levels significantly increased at monitoring sites across New England. Rising groundwater can cause flooding, damage vegetation, and threaten subsurface infrastructure. DCR supports Sterling's regulation and will provide an additional layer of protection to the water supply, wetlands, and resources of the town of Sterling and the Wachusett watershed. And thank you, Kelly Fredman. So that was the response at the end of the day was from the regional director of DCR. It is what it is.
So I'd like to make a comment.
Sure.
First of all, I think it's sad that Mr. Hoffman is so desperate for affirmation of this regulation that he's seeking comment from a bureaucratic agency such as the DCR. The DCR does not regulate Title V, the DEP does. I don't think the DCR would care how restrictive or costly or unscientific a regulation is, as long as they can say it may protect groundwater. And perhaps Mr. Hoffman should pay more attention to what the voters in Sterling think, as opposed to what some bureaucrat who is not a resident of Sterling thinks. The letter from the DCR references a UMass study, and I believe that's an attempt to express legitimacy. The statement it makes, like so many comments from this board, is misleading and I believe intended to divert your attention. It uses the term at risk. First of all, it does not say that 38% of the mainland has rising groundwater. What it uses is the term it's at risk. That's different. It also does not say that Sterling is included in that 38%. It also uses general terms like significantly increased or rising groundwater can do this or that. There's no definitive statements in this. There's no definitive statements that say groundwater is rising in Sterling, or that flooding has increased in Sterling, or that a deep observation hole will protect groundwater better than the methods listed in 15.302 criteria for inspection. Listen, dealing with many different government agencies in my different careers, I've seen documents like this hundreds of times. I used to classify them as specifically vague. Mr. Hoffman also violated the Board of Health communication policies by writing this letter. He wrote a letter to an external entity on Board of Health letterhead, presenting that letter as it came from the board, without ever discussing that topic at an open meeting. This is another example of arrogance and behind-the-scenes manipulation that Mr. Hoffman has portrayed in the past. I would even comment that this borders on an open meeting law violation. If there was any discussion between Mr. Hoffman and anyone on this board about this letter, then it definitely, and I'm not saying that that happened, but if it did happen, it was definitely an open meeting law violation.
It did not happen.
I didn't say that it did.
Well, I'm just telling you
Just made a
that.
statement, sir.
I'll
Okay,
make a-
well, I
I'll
didn't
make a
interrupt you
clear-
when you were talking.
I'll make a clear statement that it did not.
Okay. Listen, I've always tried to present my case in here, in my views, in a respectful way. I do it passionately, okay? But I do it in a respectful way. Mr. Hoffman, by writing this letter, without including the board, and signing as the chairman of the board, shows disrespect for the board, disrespect for the voters, and disrespect for the open meeting process. I've had two rather lengthy conversations yesterday with David Getman of the DCR. Mr. Getman was actually the one that wrote this response, not Ms. Frieda. Mr. Getman works for Ms. Frieda, and he wrote it, and she signed it. Mr. Getman was under the impression that Mr. Hoffman spoke for the whole board, since the letter was on Board of Health letterhead, and he signed it as the board chair. Also within Mr. Hoffman's letter, he states, "We invite comments." We invite comments, not I invite comments. So again, he's presenting himself as the board when it was not discussed at an open meeting. I also asked Mr. Getman if he was made aware that Sterling had a special town meeting called specifically to rescind this regulation, and he was not made aware of that. He was not made aware that the vote to rescind was overwhelmingly in favor. He was never made aware that the board published a document stating that the term deep observation hole was inadvertent. In other words, Mr. Getman was kind of set up when he was asked to write this letter. He did not know the situation that was going on. And Mr. Getman stated he simply was trying to show the DCR's intent to support methods that protect groundwater. And although he stated that he intuitively believed that a deep observation hole would do that, he also acknowledged that there was no actual science indicating that a deep observation hole is better than the methods that are already prescribed in 15.302. Okay? Lastly, Mr. Getman also indicated that you, David, were complicit and actually initiated this communication with the DCR. I want to remind you that you're an employee of the town. You're responsible to the voters as well. It's your job to enforce regulation, not get involved with the politics of the board. I'm very disappointed that you would take an active role in undermining the open operations of this board. Very disappointed. I hope the voters and the citizens of Sterling are taking note that the actions continue to go on with this board. This is a rogue board that needs to be reeled in. And I hope next month that the voters make a loud statement that this needs to end.
Okay, let's clarify a few things. First and foremost, the board, the regulation adopted by the board is entitled 5. And this has been, it's been gone through many times here. So it's not new. Number 2, many towns in our region have adopted it. And many towns throughout the state have adopted it.
That's not what we're discussing.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
We're discussing the letter that you wrote.
Yes.
And you violated our communication policy by not including the board. That's my issue. That's what I'm talking about here.
I think the way it came, that it was justified. The regulation.
Hold on.
Wait a minute.
Are you saying that you believe it's justified so that you can make a point? Is that what you're saying?
It's justified to go out and try to gather information.
The wrong way,
Please.
again.
No,
This is your policy. You put this policy in place, this communication policy. And I'm sure if I went outside the policy, you would call me out on it, and I would expect it. I would expect to be called out on it.
no, I wouldn't.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't violate it.
Did you speak to Mr. Getman?
I did.
Did you speak to the person who signed the letter?
No, because she didn't write the letter. Mr. Getman told me.
Well,
He was assigned to write the letter,
This is,
and he wrote the letter. And he is the one that spoke to David on the phone.
this letter comes from the woman who signed it.
And I'm telling you.
It carries the authority that comes with her title.
Okay,
It does.
I reached out to her. And he called me for her. He said she told him to call me because he's the one that did the research and wrote the letter.
that doesn't absolve the fact that her.
Absolve the fact, what does that?
Doesn't change the fact that her name is on the letter. That's an official communication from DCR.
I don't understand what the point is there.
How would we know any different with a letter signed by her with that content? Why would we not think it wasn't from her?
It doesn't matter who it's from. I'm telling you who actually wrote it, but that was just for background. I'm saying that this is your communication policy that you put in place before I was even on the board. Why wouldn't you come to the board and say, I would like to reach out to the DCR to see what their comment is? Other board members, do you agree with that? You could outvote me very easily on this board. Other boards operate that way. I was on the Board of Selectmen. No letter ever went out unless the board approved it. This was wrong. And your arrogance is still showing because you don't even recognize that what you did was wrong. You think it's actually valid that you did it because you're seeking this information. I was not speaking for the board, I was getting clarification. I didn't write a letter to somebody saying that I am the Board of Health. I received this yesterday. I had no idea that this went out. I received this yesterday. And I believe I received it yesterday, although supposedly this conversation initiated about a month ago, according to what you said.
Well, initiated maybe even more, I don't know.
Okay.
It initiated, I said it initiated between the DCR engineer and Mr. Faber.
Right.
Initially, I didn't do anything with it because I didn't think.
Well, you had an opportunity to, if it was beyond a month ago, you could have brought it up at the last meeting.
No, it wasn't that far in front.
Okay.
I honestly don't know the exact date.
All right. But when I get a document that I have one day to call and verify about, I'm going to do it.
That's fine.
All right. I thought I was just being accused of violating the communication policy, but
That's fine. I think we still get down to the basic point. Well, it's a couple of basic points. First and foremost, the actions of the board in adopting the regulations have been approved by the town council on 2 occasions. So there's not an illegal thing that took place with the regulations. This is 2 letters, I have them here, we could spend our time reading them, or we can accept the fact that they exist.
Can I just say something here?
Not
how about
yet.
the fact that the voters asked you to rescind it?
The voters,
Go ahead, say it now. The voters don't matter to you.
no, in the legal structure of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the board, where boards of health are elected, they are elected to enforce Title V.
Title V.
It is in Title V. And in other words, there's a difference. If you have an appointed Board of Health, then that's a different structure.
This is very, very important for everyone to listen to, okay? Because we have someone who's been elected to a position that says, because I have the authority to do this, I'm going to do it. And it does not matter that we had an unprecedented special town meeting for one issue. It was called for one issue. And the voters voted overwhelmingly, and they're still ignoring it because they can.
No,
And the
because
Board of
we're
Selectmen backed up the people.
we are an elected board as a state, we have the power of a state agency, basically.
I understand that.
You were elected by the people.
Well, you can change that by
Yeah.
electing
Yeah,
others.
you can.
All right.
Can I just,
Again,
Waiting for him to finish.
I just want everybody to absorb this, okay? We don't need comments and stuff, absorb it, get the message out, that's all. This needs to change. It doesn't matter, I shouldn't use power just because I have it,
That's right.
okay? What the people asked us to do is not illegal. It is not illegal.
Good, glad you came to that conclusion.
No, not what the people asked is not illegal. You understand that?
I understand that the public has a voice, and they can express that voice through the electoral process. It's exactly where they come in, exactly where they come in.
No, Alan, no.
No,
Okay.
it is. It is.
That's my point, right there.
And, I mean, the other thing is, regardless how this turns out, well, I guess I'm not going to say this. I'm not going to say this. I'm forecasting the future, but I'll let it go.
There's a lady at the podium.
Well, wait a minute. Oh, I have a message for you, Mrs. Hassett. You said you never received the Westminster regulation. It's here on the desk. I have a copy for you right there.
Thank you.
This comes down to an issue.
I'm okay, yes. I'm frustrated, that's why I'm red. I'm Irish, I turn red.
Okay. All right,
Chest pain or anything.
so, I mean, this has gone down through a proper legal process. It's verified by town council, clearly in compliance with Title V.
Well, I disagree with that,
Well,
but I'm the minority on the board.
no, I think you're a minority in terms of understanding the law.
No, I understand the law. I understand Title
You're
V.
speaking as a select person who is directly former select person.
He took the same oath you did.
That's right.
No.
The special town meeting asked the board
To
to
rescind.
reconsider. We reconsidered
It was
it
to
and
rescind.
said no. Right? That is what it was.
All I'm gonna say is that Alan Hoffman just admitted that he had this letter that he's referring to tonight, last month, at the last meeting. And he
No.
decided, yes, you did. And,
No, he said he had a conversation.
Yeah, no, I didn't say that.
Yeah, a
and
conversation
you said
with
you
David.
held on to it because you didn't want to bring it to the attention. So,
I'm not, no, that's wrong.
No, that's
That's not true.
I believe what you said was you had a conversation with David last month about that.
And I don't know exactly when it occurred.
Okay.
I had a conversation with David, who had a conversation with the regional engineer. I
That was
did not-
but
Mr.
again,
Kemp.
you shouldn't have gone beyond this board without this board's consent. You overstepped your place. And these people we elected these people just as much as you, Alan, just as much. And you are not special, just because you're a chairperson.
No, but
You answer to we the people.
and that you can take, that you can recall me. That's how you're gonna answer.
But you,
That's your arrogance.
Well, that's the law.
yes, it is the law, yes, it is, and we all,
It is,
all-
it is.
Follow your own law.
we all understand what the law is and the process at this point.
Yeah,
Okay?
I agree
But
with
I,
you.
as a person in this town, have a right to speak.
Yeah, you do.
And you keep interrupting
No,
everybody
you
that
keep
has something to
stopping.
say. There you go. Doing it again. It's respect, Alan. It's respect for the people who live in this town and pay taxes in this town and who vote for people in this town. It's respect and honor, the same thing you expect, and you're not getting it because you're not giving it to us. Okay? You have no right to go beyond the bounds of this committee, or this chair, this board, without this express permission to do so. To do otherwise is an infraction. So I, again ask you, Alan, with all due respect, please remove yourself.
I will, with all due respect for the question, I am not going to resign. The voters, that goes to the voters, they can do with it. The thing is,
Let's not belabor it. You just already said, I don't need an excuse at this point.
no, I was moving on to another.
Does anybody know if we file a complaint with the open meeting violation, okay, again with the Attorney General's, if this is would be like the third or fourth time that this board
I've already,
laws, that you would have to be removed? Would the Attorney General remove you?
No.
no, I've already complied. I've already
Yeah.
So, what's that? Do you want me,
You should, conversations should go through the chair. Okay?
all of a sudden?
I mean,
Okay. I would like to answer.
All right.
I would like to make a comment concerning the open meeting.
yes,
law.
go ahead.
Okay. I don't believe it's actual violation of the open meeting law. There would have to be two members of the board that deliberated concerning, and deliberation means a discussion concerning the letter. It was made public that did not occur. So there wasn't actually deliberation between a quorum of the board. So it would not be an actual open meeting law violation.
Okay.
We're done. I think the path of this has gone down the road, and boards of health are independent in the town where they're elected, and they have to use their best judgment to protect the public health. That's my position. And just, go ahead, Ms.
I
Ness.
just want to thank you, Rich, for taking the time to check out the letter and let the people know, because they need to know what's going on and how it's happening. Thank you. Thank you.
The other thing is, you may win this battle. In fact, I think you will. But you're apparently unaware that it's expected in the next couple of years that Title V will be reviewed and rewritten.
Well, I appreciate the lecture, Alan, but Title V was just reviewed last September, I believe, and this wasn't added to it. So if it is added to Title V, then we would have to enforce it.
That's correct.
But it is not right now.
Not right now. That's
And it's a
correct.
burden that our taxpayers do not need.
Okay. I think we've exhausted this.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Well, are we going to discuss the next meeting?
We agreed that it was going to be the next time,
Well,
the next regular meeting.
the.
Oh, we should set it.
The next regular meeting is scheduled after the town meeting, but before the elections. I would make a recommendation that we put it off for a week, and then the new member would be able to start right away.
I would not agree with that,
Of course.
Why wouldn't you agree with that?
because it's the way it's always been.
No, twice since I've been on the board, we have put the meeting off by 1 week. To me, it just makes sense. I know we've done that when I was on the select board. That allowed the new person to start right away.
What do you think?
Well, I think our meetings are scheduled for the second Thursday of the month, and we should stay there.
I agree.
That's interesting.
Yes, it is, isn't it? It's telling.
Okay,
Yes.
with that, I think we're done.
Integrity. Integrity.
Your motion,
Look up the definition of integrity.
your motion to adjourn,
I move we adjourn.
Second,
all in favor?
Catalano, aye.
Lena.
See you at the grocery store for recall.